Alright, hey, what is up, guys? 1984 here, and I wanted to get this one in while I was still feeling the excitement. Nintendo's presentation just wrapped up, and we got tons of Smash Bros. Information. Like I thought, was not the only focus of the show, like I thought it might be, similar to Breath of the Wild a couple of years ago, but it's definitely heavy on the Smash Bros. Information, and I think people are going to be pretty happy about what we're getting, and maybe there's some people out there that are going to be a little bit disappointed, but we'll get into that at the end. Starting off, Nintendo started off a trailer. We had no idea what we were seeing. Some kind of mech fighter, it looked like, with a really cool graphical style, really cool art style in general. Seeing these mech fights going down, and taking a look at it, and then they revealed the title, Daemon X Machina. Daemon X Machina. So that game is very cool. It's coming in 2018 at some point. A lot of this information in the Nintendo showcase moved very, very quickly. So, I did not get the notes down as quickly as I would have liked. Sorry about the bad head, by the way, guys. Didn't have time to get looking my best for this one. I wanted to get right on and talk about Nintendo. So, started out with Daemon X Machina. Then we got information on the Xenoblade story, Xenoblade 2 story DLC. Looks like it's focused around Torna, and you're actually going to be playing as the Torna members in this DLC. So that's interesting. It takes place in the past, prior to the events of the main game of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So that's interesting. Then Reggie came out, talked to us a little bit. And then we got Super Mario Party. Okay, new Mario Party game. But I gotta say, I'm actually pretty happy with what we saw there. I have in all capital letters with exclamation points, independent movement. Mario Party games have been shit recently. The main reason behind that, in my opinion, is that they basically changed the way it works, where everyone moves around the board together to a fixed endpoint. I don't know who thought that was fun or why. Really just them, I guess, trying to make it super, super casual so that nobody feels like they're losing, which is bullshit, because the whole point of Mario Party is to screw over your friends. So it looks like we are back to the classic setup where each player moves independently around the board, and so get ready to get really pissed off at your friends with Mario or Super Mario Party. Looks like some interesting use of the Switch technology in some of the mini games. You saw where they had two switches in handheld mode for some sort of tank battle game, and they could actually reconfigure the map based on how they position the switches, and it recognized that. That's interesting. And also, you can play as a Goomba. I think that's a first in a Mario series, and that's cool. So Goomba's a playable character. Then we finally got a look at the Fire Emblem game, full-on Fire Emblem game for the Nintendo Switch. And I gotta say, it looked very cool. Battle maps normally use 2D sprites until the attack animation starts, but it looked like the battle map is fully in with 3D graphics. It's not in 3D, but it's rendered in 3D graphics, so it looks even better. It looks best looking Fire Emblem game we've seen. Looks like there's big armies as part of the battlefield, beyond just the characters you're controlling. So it looks like you got these big armies behind you supporting you, and they'll rush into formations and attack when you attack other units and stuff like that. So that's cool. Overall, just the cameras in the battle system, it looked like there were much more dynamic cameras in battle rather than just a side, one guy on the left, one guy on the right, and then they attack. Looks like some very dynamic camera angles once the attack animations actually start. It is confirmed for spring 2019. So guys, I think this is officially the first Nintendo Switch game that got delayed beyond its initial promise. They've been hitting it 100%. This game's coming this year, and they came. This is the first one. I think it was supposed to come this year. This is the first game that I am aware of or have noticed that has actually been delayed for the Nintendo Switch. So you know what? We got a year and a half of constant releases hitting their windows. If this game needs to be delayed to get it right, then hey, I'm fine with it. Then we got a confirmation of the rumors. Fortnite is coming to Switch, and it's not just coming to Switch, it is available today for download at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which would mean it should be up right now, actually. Let me take a look. I've got my Switch right here. I played a little bit of Fortnite on PS4. I cannot get good at the building no matter how much I practice, so I'm never going to be a great Fortnite player. So in that sense, I put it down because I knew I was never going to really compete. However, being that it's on the Switch, you can pick it up and go anytime. I'll probably give it a download here on the Switch and see if I can get any better at Fortnite. If it was just shooting, you know what? I may be able to do that. Yep, and Fortnite is, guys, officially up on the eShop. If you can see it right there. No, this camera sucks. There, Fortnite. So I'm going to get that downloaded. And I'll probably abandon it after a few playthroughs again. But hey, get into the Fortnite hype, bro. All right. Then we got some Nindies, Overcooked 2. People like the first game. I never played it. Killer Queen Black, which I guess is a pretty popular indie game, coming with 8-player multiplayer to the Switch. So, hey, that's cool. If you got 8 players with Joy-Cons, why not? Hopefully you're playing it on a TV at that point, but anyway. Hollow Knight was revealed, and it's for release today. It looks like another fun indie platformer. I know there's so many of them out there, but this one has a great art style, and that's usually what draws me into an indie platformer, unless they have a very, very original mechanic. So I'll probably check that out at some point. And considering how little info we got on Octopath at the Square event, I was hoping for some information for Octopath Traveler at the Nintendo event. We did get some, not really anything new revealed, but they did tell us there will be a new demo out on June 14th, so hopefully we'll get to try a couple more of the characters and see what their special abilities are all about at that point. Then they did some quick hits. So I jotted down the ones that I could, or that looked interesting to me in one way or another as these quick hits rolled through. We got Dragon Ball FighterZ coming to the Switch in the summer. Me not buying that game paid off. I love it when I hold off on buying a game and that ends up finding its way on the Switch, because all said and done, if on equal footing, if there's a game that I could get and it's available on the Switch, then that's the console I want to get it on, because then I can play it anywhere I want, and that has a lot of power, guys. I don't know if everyone who doesn't have a Switch or isn't a Nintendo fan understands how awesome that is to take it anywhere. Ark is coming, both the Minecraft-y version of Ark and the full version of Ark. Wasteland 2 Director's Cut is coming to Switch. That was interesting to me. But hey, maybe it'll get a whole new group of fans into the isometric RPG scene, and why not? Actually that could work well as a portable game. Actually, that genre in general could work well as portable games. I still think they're much easier to play with a mouse, but it's not like it's impossible to play it without a mouse. It's just a little more unintuitive, I guess you would say. SNK Heroines, so it looks like a fighting game based around female characters from SNK's huge library of fighting games, most of which you can get on the eShop through that Neo Geo re-releases. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate is coming, so obviously we're never going to get Monster Hunter World. It's just too advanced of a game to run on the Switch, but Monster Hunter Generations was a 3DS game, so giving us a up-resed Ultimate Edition of that, which I believe they've already had in Japan. It's already been available in Japan for a while. They're bringing it to the US, which I think is great. A lot of fans were calling for it, or a lot of fans that actually already downloaded it from the Japanese eShop. But now we can get it in full English over here in the States, and that's awesome. I'll be checking that out. And Mega Man 11, of course, from day one, if I had a choice, my plan was to get that on the Switch, obviously. So Mega Man 11's coming. And Takahashi came on, and he basically sounded like he was wrapping up the show. Now, we knew it wasn't going to be the end of the show. We hadn't seen any Smash yet. But it's funny to me, in my head, every Japanese man that works at Nintendo has the same voice. Because it's always that same translator dude translating all of them. But then we got to the big piece for Nintendo this year, and that is Smash Bros. We knew it was coming, and we got a lot of detail about it, quite a bit, and they gave us probably some details they really didn't even need to give us at this point, like move tweaks and things like that. But anyway, there was like, well, let's give you a roster video, and the first thing I see is it looks like a Xenoblade Chronicles stage. Now, maybe it wasn't, because after the presentation they were playing on that stage and it was Final Destination, but it really, to me, looked a lot like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So I was actually expecting a Rex or Pyra reveal there, but I guess not. That was just a Final Destination, not a Xenoblade Chronicles stage. So we got some reveals. We saw Link in his Breath of the Wild gear. You know, this thought crossed my mind. What if they gave unbreakable weapons in Smash Bros? How much would that piss people off? I just thought that would be funny. Zelda, apparently, we see Zelda is apparently not Breath of the Wild Zelda. Which, what? I really, really like that version of Zelda from Breath of the Wild, and I would have actually been maybe motivated to pick up and play as Zelda in Smash Bros, which I've never done before. If it was the Breath of the Wild version, but there was a reason for that. We'll get to that in a minute. The Ice Climbers were back. Pokemon Trainers back. We see Ryu is back. Cloud is back. Snake is back. And then they tell us everyone is here. So I stopped writing names down, and I was like, do they mean that? Are they being serious? Like everyone? Really? Everyone? Don't screw with me, Nintendo. Everyone is back. And yes, which led into the name reveal, Smash Bros. Ultimate. With every single fighter ever in a Smash Brothers game all collected here together. Man, I think for me, that is awesome. And here's the thing, that I bet there are some people that are upset, because it means we're probably not going to get a lot of new fighters, because that is a lot of characters to include in the game already. And you know what? As much as I love new fighter reveals, that's always a bunch of new fighters that I might not ever end up playing as. If you're going to tell me you're not going to get a lot of new fighters, but you're going to get every single character that's ever been in Smash Bros. Game is going to be in one game, then I am all on board. Sign me up. That's fine with me. I still think we'll get at least maybe a couple more, maybe two more. There's a long time until December, guys. I think we'll still get a few more new character reveals between now and then. Being that we've got a little bit of Konami in there, Snake is back, and we've got a Bomberman Assist Trophy. Give me Simon Belmont, guys, please. People are really big on Castlevania, and a non-Castlevania game is doing it better these days, so it's fresh in people's minds, just saying. But yeah, I think there's going to be a segment of people that are disappointed because, you know, new character reveals and everything are a big fun part of any new Smash Bros. Game. But at the same time, how pissed off do people get when their favorite character does not make it into the game or gets cut from the game. So that's not going to happen to anybody this time. If you have a favorite character, if you have a main from any game in the series that you want, you're going to be able to play as that character. So I think once the dust settles and it really starts to set in and people get this game in their hands, even, I think people are going to be less frustrated that there's not going to be many newcomers. And maybe people aren't. Maybe most people are reasonable people like I am. I like to think so, and realize what a big deal it is to have all these characters back together in one game. With everybody's favorite is available. Nobody's favorite is cut, as opposed to cramming a bunch of new faces into the game. I think if you had to choose one, I think most people in the end, if they really sat down and thought about it, would decide, okay, if I gotta have one or the other, I'd rather have every character in the game that we've ever had before. So, you know, that's my take on that, guys. But we then, you know, we're told you start with actually the original N64 roster. So you start with a very small selection of fighters, actually, which is kind of weird. But what is going on here, guys? Okay, sorry. Put my microphone on my space bar again. I keep doing that. My computer was flipping out. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yes, you start with the original roster of the N64 characters. Kind of a nice nod to the past. And they did say you're going to be unlocking characters fast and furious, so they've changed the way. You're not going to have to grind to unlock this huge roster, though. With such a massive roster, I mean, honestly, the roster is huge. If you're going to have every character from every game, starting with just, how many were in the first game? 11, 12? That's a little disappointing. I can get over it. Hopefully, maybe you unlock a character after every battle you play. Something like that. They said it would be quick, so I don't think it's going to be a huge deal in the end. It was kind of a weird choice. I get it. It's paying tribute to the originals. At the same time, with such a massive roster, you kind of want to get into the meat of that roster as fast as you can. And then they confirmed some changes for returning fighters. So Cappy will be... We didn't see him throwing it or anything, but Cappy is going to be part of Mario's moveset, which makes sense. It should be at this point. That's the biggest, most recent Mario game. It adds a little bit of variety. You can switch up Mario a bit, who's been pretty similar for a long time. So that's great. Breath of the Wild Link has got remote bombs, so you can remote detonate the bombs now. That's very cool. And Ancient Arrows as a final smash, which, by the way, the final smashes they mentioned are going to be really quick hit, in and out, powerful hits, and it's done, back to the fighting. I'm okay with that. Now, personally, I'm not a competitive player, and I like the big spectacle of final smashes. I also like using items, guys. I'm just saying, that's how the game originally was played. But no, if you're a competitive fighter, that's the things you guys do are amazing. I could never imagine to play Smash Bros. At such a technical level. So for me, it's not a technical game, which is kind of, I won't get into it much, but kind of my complaint about some of the more recent games is that it seemed to cater more to the technical, but technical people probably argue the other way around, so that's just my 2 cents. But yeah, the final smashes will now be a quick, powerful hit, almost like a hyper move in a Capcom fighting game or something, that's good for the flow of the game. Maybe we'll even see it in some competitive once they see how it works. Who knows? Probably not, but you know. The female form, there's a female form of Pikachu. Apparently their tail looks different. I didn't even know that was a thing. And never really paid attention to the tail on the Pikachus I was catching in the Pokemon games, whether they were male or female. Star Fox has got his look from Star Fox Zero. I mean, it is the most recent game. It makes sense. Nobody really likes that game, though. Um, and the Landmaster Final Smash has been retired, which is probably good, right? I mean, they had so many other characters using that Final Smash. Just get it out of there for everyone. Looks like now they're all going to use ships flying at you, but whatever. Landmaster's gone. Ryu always faces his opponent like he would in the fighting game. Isn't that how Smash works? I guess you have back smashes and stuff, but so if you jump over someone, he's going to turn around to face him. Since his inputs are actually based around his Street Fighter inputs and not the Smash Bros layout. I mean, it's integrated into the Smash Bros layout, but you know what I mean. So that's, yeah, for someone trying to play Ryu and you jump over a guy and you're facing the wrong way, you're not sure which way to do your inputs, that makes sense. So that's good. We have jump charging, so charge moves can be charged in the air now, so that's cool. You could kind of jump from above while charging up a move and then fire it off when you get down there, whatever. Hey, yeah, jump charging. That's the thing. These are some of the more technical details that they were throwing out there that I didn't even expect or really need them to throw out. But that's great. Give us all the information you can. Snake is back, obviously. With Shadow Moses Island, Stage is back. So that, like I said earlier, made me think, could we get any new Konami characters? Simon Belmont, I'm hoping for you. Anyway, this is where we finally got an explanation why we're not seeing Breath of the Wild Zelda. They said she was more about seeking out knowledge than being a fighter. So we're getting the Link Between Worlds Zelda, who, it's been a while since I played Link Between Worlds. I love the game, so I'm fine with that. But what version of Zelda has ever really been much of a fighter, aside from Sheik, who is a separate character now anyway? So I don't see any reason you couldn't have had her. Hopefully it's an alternate costume at the very least. Breath of the Wild Zelda. I would hope so. Pac-Man got a speed boost. That matters to me. I love playing as Pac-Man. For me, took very naturally to Pac-Man in the most recent games. So he's one of my favorite characters to play. Any boosts he's going to get. Pokemon Trainer is back, as we mentioned, can change between Pokemon in battle. We've got a female version of the Pokemon Trainer. We got some slow motion on powerful hits in 1v1 fights with fighters like Captain Falcon. It doesn't look like it'll mess with the flow of the game all that much, and it's only in 1v1s. Yeah, you couldn't, if you were doing an 8-player Smash and it kept slowing down, obviously that's not going to work. But a 1v1, that's fine. His Captain Falcon's Big Blue fighting stage is back. What a pain in the ass to fight on, but I like those gimmick stages, so I'm glad to see that, as hard as they are to fight on sometimes, especially that one. Then we got Look at Cloud, and his limit gauge is always displayed by his name. In fact, characters with unique mechanics like that are now going to have more indicators on the screen in order to be more aware of that at all times, and that's great. Keep track of stuff like the villager. You'll know what's in the villager's pocket, and some of the Fire Emblem characters that charge things up, you'll know where their charge levels are and stuff. Interestingly, that, with every character back, we now have Young Link and Toon Link. Toon Link had pretty much replaced Young Link, but I guess it'll just be a matter of like Ocarina weapons versus Wind Waker weapons. I forgot the name of that for a minute, which is weird because it's one of my favorite Zelda games. Quick select for Shulk to switch between his arts. Ganon is the Ocarina of Time version of Ganon, at least stylistically. Hopefully we finally get a tweaked moveset, so Ganon's less of a Falcon clone and more of his own thing, but we'll see about that. They didn't really say anything thing about move tweaks for him, just that he's going to look like the Ocarina of Time version, which is fine. That's one of the more iconic versions of Ganon, so I'm okay with that. They're trying to get Mii Fighters to work online. So with Mii Fighters back, here's my question. How do you choose Mii Fighters when there's no Mii Creator on the Nintendo Switch? I know you can import your Mii to use as your icon on the Switch menu, but, you know, how, are we going to be able to create Miis? Or are they going to release a Mii Creator on the eShop when this game comes out? Are we just going to have to import our Miis from other systems, which is fine. That works perfectly fine with anything, anytime I've done it. So whatever, that just seemed a strange to me, is how are we going to choose our Miis right off the bat. Hopefully we get a Mii Creator app for the Switch for that purpose, so we can keep them all in one place and I don't have to transfer all of them over and over again all the time. So we'll see. Got a Rodan Assist Trophy for Bayonetta. That makes a lot of sense. It's cool to see. Mega Man has hazards from both the 3DS and Wii U stage. I never played the 3DS. What was the difference? What was the hazard on the 3DS version? I'm not sure. It wasn't the Yellow Giant. In general, we saw actually some stages like Spirit Tracks from the 3DS version. So I'm happy about that, because there were actually some cool looking stages on the 3DS version that I never played, because I wasn't going to buy two versions of the same damn game, Nintendo. But yeah, it's good to see that. Definitely some of the 3DS stages are going to be included. I don't think, guys, we're getting every fighter ever. I would not expect to see every stage ever, though it is called Smash Bros. Ultimate, so you never know. But that would be a lot to include if we had every fighter and every stage. I don't know if we're going to see that, but it looks like we're getting a good selection of stages and some new ones too. Rob has a fuel gauge for hovering. Okay. And they're calling they gave clone fighters their own name, Echo Fighters, they're calling them. So we've got Daisy, a Peach clone. So that's fun. I'm actually more of a Daisy guy myself, if you ask me. Peach is the, prim and prissy blonde, while Daisy's the red-headed wild girl. So, me likey. Alright, so that after a disturbing look into my mind there, let's move on. They showed us the Inklings, how they'll work. If your opponent's inked, they'll take more damage. Their smashes and their specials all use different weapons, and you gotta refill, and you refill by shielding, which makes sense. I think that's pretty much how everyone else kind of drew it up in their head, is that when you hit the shield button, you dip into the ink. And it looks like, no, the stage they were showing was specifically the Splatoon stage, so I think the floors are angled a little more towards the camera in that sense. But it looks like, for the most part, you're going to be able to tell where there's ink down on the stage. I mean, it's a big, bright color. Hopefully it fades after time. I don't want all the stages to turn into Splatoon and they're just covered in ink. But it looks like you'll be able to, see well enough, because that was a question we all had, is if you do have to refill your ink, how are you going to be able to tell where it is? But, that'll be some interesting movement with the Splatoon characters. Dip into the ink, slide around the stage a little bit faster, and everything. Their up jump looks like it's the squid form, which makes 100% sense. So pretty much, once you sat down and thought about how an Inkling would work in Smash Bros, that's pretty much what we're getting. They showed some of the assist trophies. You can knock out assist trophies now, so you can get them off the field by attacking them. They showed Bomberman and Waluigi, meaning, guys, we're not getting them as playable characters. Sorry for fans of those characters who were hoping to see them as playable. The fact that they're assist trophies means that we are not going to be getting them in the game, so don't hold your breath on that. if they've been revealed as an assist trophy, don't expect a character reveal. And again, don't expect many character reveals anyway, but I do expect maybe a handful, a couple more before the game launches in December. We saw some stages. They were just doing quick hits at this point, and we saw some stages. Some of them you could pick out kind of just by watching the other clips. Like I saw, pretty sure a Mario Sunshine stage, whatever that beach stage is. I forget the name of it. I saw in there. We saw Prism Tower from Pokemon X and Y. That's cool. Peach's Castle, the Spirit Train. Like I said, we've got some of the 3DS stages. A Wrecking Crew stage. I think that'd been in a past game. I don't know. The Plateau Tower from Breath of the Wild, which to me looked so tiny. I don't know how you're going to have any sort of comprehensive normal fight on top of that thing, considering how absolutely tiny the top of the platform looked. And they showed it with an 8-player Smash, which I can't believe that they would make that stage available for 8-player when usually they have specified stages that are much bigger available for 8-player Smash. That just looked like such, even for a 4-player fight, looked like a tiny space to be fighting on. So maybe it was just zoomed way out. We'll see how Plateau Tower ends up playing. New techniques like air dodges, increased damage in 1v1 fights. So I'm sure the competitive players will have something to say about that. I don't know if they'd be for or against it, but it should speed fights up in 1v1. And compatible with GameCube controllers. I think we all assume that would be the case. Amiibo FP fighters are back. You can bring them in from the old game. Okay. And then they revealed Ridley, who's playable, who Sakurai had never really wanted to put in the game because he didn't want to change the size of the character. But what did he do? He put them in the game and changed the size of the character because the fans wanted it. So he's about the size. Now, he comes into the fight looking huge, and then all of a sudden he's tiny. I don't know how they explain that, but he's about the size of Charizard, I would say. He's got kind of a grabbing game and things like that. And then we got an official release date, December 7th. Wow, are they going to sell a ton of Switches for Christmas with this game coming out? Not that they wouldn't have anyway, but mommy, get me Switch with Smash Bros. I gotta have it. So December 7th, guys. I'm sure half of you have already pre-ordered it at this point. And again, after the show, they were fighting on what to me looked like a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 stage, but they were calling it Final Destination. Though they did say, well, this, not the Final Destination that you're going to see in the actual game. So maybe it was a placeholder title until we get that Rex Pyro reveal, which I would, if they're going to have a newcomer, that'd be near the top of my list of one of the ones that's going to be in there. So in my mind, it's still a Xenoblade 2 stage. Correct me in the comments if it's something else that I'm just not aware of or noticing, but to me it looks like a Xenoblade 2 stage, complete with changing time of day, floating islands, and beautiful vistas, and unless Final Destination has always been like that and I failed to notice because I'm not a competitive player, who knows. But guys, that was a ton of information about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The hype train is it's gone, guys. If you didn't get on the hype train already, you missed it, because now it's halfway across the country at this point. The hype is going to be huge, and we've got 6 months to talk about it and make YouTube videos about it and debate about, I'd rather have new characters. No, I want all the characters. Oh, no newcomers. Increased damage in 1v1 fighting. Whatever. Expect every little bit of Smash Bros. That you can be talked about to be broken down and extended into super long YouTube videos and message board posts between now and December. And that was it. And guys, short but sweet. I'd say Nintendo this year. Everything we saw. I mean, even the indie games don't get me jacked up, but everything we saw was of quality. Wish they'd put that kind of quality control back into the eShop. That's a story for another day. But short but sweet. We expected heavy on Smash Bros. We got heavy on Smash Bros. But we got a lot more besides before Smash Bros. That I was not really expecting to see much of. Like a lot of people predicted, there was no 3DS reveal at all. I think they're going to do a treehouse for 3DS stuff. It was all Switch all the way, which it should be at this point. So Nintendo, thank you. You know, I woke up early, quote unquote early, to watch this presentation, and you didn't let me down. There's a reason that I'm a blind Nintendo fanboy, and that's because you deliver the goods, Nintendo, you do. So, boom. That's it, guys. That's my last E3 video of the year. There's some smaller stuff still going on, but that covers all the big bases. And so thanks for anyone who tuned into any of these videos over the past couple of days. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you back on Twitch tonight. We're back playing games again. No more of me just talking into a camera. I'm sure you guys will be thrilled. So I'll see you then. Thanks a lot, guys. Peace out.